Welcome to Convince Me, presented by Bet365. We are kicking off the Power Hour, the only NFL pregame show with all the stuff you care about, none of the fluff you don't. I am Chad Millman. I am joined by my Action Network buddies, Sean Koerner, Raybon and Simon Hunter. They are going to try to convince me all the bets I should make for the remaining wild card games. Let's talk about the Steelers and the Bills, the game that has been moved, a crazy, crazy weather apocalypse game. We still don't know exactly what the weather's going to be, but this total's been all over the board. It opened at 43, got down to 33 when everyone thought the weather was going to be terrible. Then it came off the board, went back up, opened around 35. Now it's back up into the 38 range. The money is all over the place on this game. The spread has been hovering around 10, 9, 9.5, 10. Great game to think about as a handicapper. Koerner, give us some more to think about.
Well, I warned you, my fun props are done with. We're going back to the disgusting unders. Dawson Knox, under 14.5 receiving yards. In weeks 1 through 7, when he was the lead tight end and they were a pass-heavy offense, he only cleared this in 3 of 7 games. And then he injured his wrist. He missed 5 games. He lost his job to first-round pick Dalton Kincaid. The offense is way more run-heavy now under Joe Brady. And somehow he did manage to clear this in 3 of the last 5 games, but he got kind of lucky. He's caught 7 of his 8 targets. So an 88% catch rate. Typically, you'd expect him to catch around 75 or 70% of his targets. So he's due for some regression there. And 2 of those games, he didn't draw a single target. So in this game against the Steelers, I know that they did move the game, so we might not see as inclement weather, but it's still going to be cold, still going to be windy. We're going to see 15+ mile an hour winds. I don't see them throwing the ball to Dawson Knox here. If anything, they're going to run it. Build a lead that way. So I'm projecting Dawson Knox closer to 10.5 yards. So, 4 yards of value is massive here. So I actually have it around a 63% chance he stays under 14.5.
Yeah, look, we cashed with Dalton Schultz yesterday. Dalton and then Kincaid has just been getting better and better and better. It also feels like there's more energy when he's on the field. Yeah. Everyone seems to be rallying a little bit more. Like as a receiver, there just seems to be something different about him, taking a lot of time and a lot of attention away from Dawson Knox. All right, Simon.
Yeah, Chad, this was tough. Wanted to do a side and a total, but I feel a little guilty because shout out to all our bookmakers on us, keep our bets. I have the over at like 33.5, 34. So what am I going to do? Give out the over at 39? No, I'm not that
you can't do that.
Can't do it. So even though the numbers moved, Mason Rudolph, his under total prop, passing yard total prop, I still like it. The book, I have it at right now at 169. I still think it's too high where even if the winds have died down a little bit, they're supposed to have 50 per mile, like consistent winds with 30 per mile gust. That's a big deal, especially for a guy making his first start at quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, I can't talk about that enough. We saw it last night with Tua. It's a big deal. Like, you're already uncomfortable because it's just different. Now you're factoring the weather for guys that aren't used to it. It's a big deal. So when I'm taking these kind of props, like I'm looking at a guy like him and Josh Allen, I honestly did want to take Josh Allen, but they keep taking it up and down. I'm happy to take Mason's. The fact that it's still above 150 to me, there's really good value here where Pittsburgh wants to run the ball, especially if this is going to be a close game. Now you're factoring the weather with a first-time starter in the playoffs. I had to take this yardage under. So 169, under passing yards. I love this number, Chad.
That is a good one. I like that one, too. All right, Raybon.
Chad, we're going Jaylen Warren, under 8.5 carries. And this is really about a couple of things. Number one, I get that everyone wants to bet the overs on these Pittsburgh running backs because we expect a run-heavy game to try to stay close. It's bad weather, but especially now that the game has been moved, the weather's not going to be as bad, I think. And when you see Najee Harris and what he's been able to do over the last 3 games with the 4 touchdowns, just really going off, especially the last 2, they've reinserted him in that early down back kind of featured role. And Warren is back to playing even more pass snaps than he ever has before, but he's back to kind of that true backup as a running back. And you look at Buffalo and what they've done since Dorsey got canned and replaced by Brady, they've been over 50% run team themselves. But what that's doing, their opponent time of possession is down to 26 minutes per game. Pittsburgh, they are averaging, 32 over this little second half of the season when, all these guys are getting a lot of carries, and even Najee, I think, his number could be a little too high. So I don't think people are factoring that in enough, that Buffalo is just slowing these games down, limiting the possessions. Opponents averaging only 56 plays, and even if Mason Rudolph struggles and they want to run the ball, you have to stay on the field to get a lot of rushing attempts. You can't just go 3-yard run, Mason Rudolph incompletion. You're not going to get to Jaylen Warren 9, 10, 11 carries as the number 2 back that way. We've seen less than 1 in 5 number 2 backs are able to hit even 9 carries in a game. It's just really tough to do. So Jaylen Warren under 8.5 carries.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
I was waiting for it.
Love them all. Love them all. Gonna bet them all. I think this is a really tricky one because there's so many things like competing interests I'm now going to be rooting for in this game. I'm going with Jaylen Warren under 8.5 total rushing attempts. Also, I just feel like since Matt Canada was fired, this offense has seemed to recommit to running between the tackles, and that plays to Najee Harris's strength. And Jaylen Warren was consistently getting more carries when they were trying to run outside the tackles, which didn't play to Najee Harris's strength. So give me Jaylen Warren under 8.5 rushing yards. All right, last game on the board. We're talking about the Eagles at the Buccaneers, which has surprisingly been getting so little attention because no one really knows what the hell to do with this game, fellas. The total has moved from 45 down to 43. The Bucs were 2.5-point underdogs early in the week. Then there was conversation and news about is Baker Mayfield going to play? Is he not going to play? How banged up is he? It moved to 3. It kind of stabilized at Eagles -3. There's chaos in the Eagles locker room. There's injuries on the Eagles team. So, Koerner, what do we do with a game that, as a bettor, I kind of want to avoid?
Yeah, no, this is a tough game to project. And I didn't really know what I was going to take until this morning. I was looking at rush attempt props, and I saw DeAndre Swift is at 15.5. I thought that was a bit high, so I'm going with Swift under 15.5 rush attempts. He's cleared this in 7 of 15 full games he's played in, but he's only cleared this once when the Eagles have lost the game. And I do like the Buccaneers +3 here. I think they could pull off the upset with A.J. Brown out. And now I'm trying to figure out how they're going to handle A.J. Brown being out. They could be a little bit more run heavy, which would hurt this, but they could also use Kenny Gainwell a bit more, who's their pass catching back, have another offensive weapon in the passing game. It also, with A.J. Brown out, more likely it's a trailing game script. So it kind of evens itself out. The other thing with Swift when it comes to this market is the brotherly shove. Whenever it's a 3rd and short, 4th and short, or goal line play, Jalen Hurts is getting the carry. Those are the ways you really rack up rush attempts. Those cheap short yardage carries. So Swift doesn't get those. So it kind of limits his upside in this market. He has to get them on 1st and long, 2nd and long. So he might. I don't like his rushing yardage prop, but I'm seeing a ton of value on his attempt prop because I'm projecting this closer to 14.5. And every rush attempt in these markets is massive. So I'm showing about a 62% chance he stays under 15.5.
Swift is such an interesting running back to watch. Simon, I know you watch so many Eagles games. It feels like every time he gets the ball, he's about to break it for about 50 yards, and then he's tackled after 4 yards. And it's like he has the most exciting, shifty 40-yard runs in the NFL. Simon, what do you got?
Chad, what if I could tell you could fade a team in the Bucs that should have lost last week to the Panthers and not even be in the playoffs? But here they are. And I think it's just basically the stank on the Eagles. No one wants to bet them. So I can't believe I'm doing it, but Eagles -3, Eagles -2.5. I'm taking the number, and it really is just a fade on this Bucs team. I think it's a great story they've made it this far. We know their weaknesses. We know Baker's not that great ATS. We know all the numbers behind it. Todd Bowles is a head coach. We know his struggles as a head coach. Just factor in night games, his career, he's 2-7 straight up. So, just looking at this number, it's gross to do. I understand people don't want to bet this, but I am taking the Eagles team here. Right? It's just, it feels like the Bucs value is too high at this point. I need to buy back on this Eagles team.
All right, Raybon.
Simon, what would it convince me be without me and you going head-to-head on a side? It's only right with the year coming to an end. So I'm going Tampa Bay +3. And to be honest, I didn't think we would get here. But when you look at these teams, first of all, weighted DVOA, which rates, all it does is weight the more recent games a little bit more heavily. Tampa Bay is the better team, 15th versus 21 for Philadelphia. Now, these two teams really aren't that different in my ratings at all. And now you factor in the Bucs are at home. Now you factor in that the Bucs are healthy. Baker Mayfield's playing. Jalen Hurts is also banged up. But A.J. Brown's out. That's the big injury, I think. Then that's the one that you actually have to adjust the number for. So to me, I just can't get anywhere near this number of +3 for Tampa Bay. It should be closer to a pick'em. Then you're looking at the scheme. Jalen Hurts has been struggling against what? The blitz. What does Tampa Bay do at a top 3 rate with Todd Bowles? They blitz. And they blitz in zone blitz looks. They're not just playing man where it's, Hurts can run, it's easy, defenders are turned their back. You're talking about zone pressures. You don't know exactly where it's coming from. That's what they've had so much trouble picking up, especially on this losing streak. And then I look at Philadelphia started 10-1, but even then we were saying this team is getting lucky. This team was at the top of our great luck rankings for most of the year, top 3. So Philadelphia +5 point differential, 11 wins. What? That this is supposed to be a 500 team. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they're underperforming slightly their Pythagorean wins. And teams that have done that in the wild card or divisional round, Chad, 33-13, 72% against the spread over the last 2 decades. Give me Tampa Bay +3.
This is what's so hard about my job, and let's think about some empathy for me right now, is as soon as Simon was done talking, I was all over the Eagles. I'm thinking the Eagles know this feels like a must-win game for their franchise. This feels like a must-win game for Nick Sirianni. It feels like a must-win game for the confidence of that locker room. And that's the emotional part of me. And then Raybon starts talking, and he gives me all the unemotional elements of this game, and it makes me go back to the beginning where I can't make a decision. So I'm going with Koerner because it's just the easiest thing to do. I'll take the under 15.5 and DeAndre Swift because I haven't had a take on this game all week, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to bet the side. I hate it. I think it's lined right. I think there's no advantage for anybody here. So just give me DeAndre Swift.
This is like betting on the Buccaneers without actually having to bet on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate you. Thanks, buddy. All right. Let's talk about who's sponsoring our show. It's Bet365. Convince Me presents Bet365. And Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for the biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older and present in Colorado, Iowa, New Jersey, Louisiana, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All of our picks available for free in the award-winning Action Network app. If you're watching us on YouTube, like our page. If you've heard about us, subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Stay tuned for the Touchdown Show. Good luck, everybody.
Hello and welcome to another Super Wildcard Weekend edition of the Touchdown Show on the Action Network. I'm Gilles Gallant. I've got Nick Giffen, Charlie Disturco, B-Matt is here. We're all in studio in New York, and the show is presented by Bet365. So Steelers-Bills right now, we're thinking it's going to be on, or Monday game rather, but that may get moved. Right now, let's just talk about it though. Steelers-Bills. Bills are 10-point favorites with an over-under of 37. Weather going to be impacting this game. Now let's talk about the touchdown odds, and right at the top, quarterback Josh Allen, -120 now to score touchdowns, and then followed by James Cook at +120. Then you've got Stephon Diggs at +140 and Najee Harris at +175. Dalton Kincaid at +240. Khalil Shakir at +260, and then Jalen Warren at +275, and Deontay Johnson, George Pickens are both around +400 as well. Charlie, Are we going to go chalk again here? What are we looking at? Are we going Josh Allen or
Listen,
Chalky Charlie.
listen. Chalky Charlie is back. Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown, plus 155. If not now, when is this man going to get in the end zone? And I honestly have to be betting this out of just my integrity because the last few times I have, he has yet to score, and I keep doubling down on this man. So I need an anytime touchdown, Stephon, right now. Listen, there's no Gabe Davis, and I think that that's the biggest key here. And the last few weeks, we've actually seen Stephon Diggs really kind of start to get going again, right? For a few weeks, we were like, what is going on with this offense? Why is he not getting involved? He's still getting the same amount of targets, but if it wasn't for Josh Allen completely missing him on a deep shot against the Chargers, and then again a few weeks against the Dolphins as well, there's two that he had walk-in touchdowns on, and instead, Josh Allen missed them. I think that this is the opportunity that Diggs will step up and get without Gabe Davis. Now they have to, pass the ball a bit more. I was looking toward Josh Allen originally at plus money, but now that he's gone into the negative, I'm looking towards Stephon Diggs here. The Steelers play man coverage at a high rate. He carves up man coverage. You pointed out that he's actually had more touchdowns against man coverage than not.
That's right.
And no TJ Watt, so probably a little bit less pressure for Josh Allen, and that's why I like him finding Diggs and allowing him to get open. So plus 155. I'm going back to Stephon Diggs, and I'm ready, and I'm vulnerable to get hurt again by him.
But that's okay, though. He's old, reliable. Even if he is going to hurt, you know that it's going to be reliable hurt.
Yes.
So all right. So he's on Stephon Diggs. B-Matt, who do you like in this game?
Yeah, so I played Josh Allen when it first came out at plus 195, but like you guys said, at minus 120,
That's a big move.
I can't touch that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go, look, I got to go with the namesake again then, right? Dalton Kincaid, 80-plus receiving yards in back-to-back games. I also, without Gabe Davis, I think that helps Dalton Kincaid. And also the cold weather game. I mean, they might move it another day, sure, but it's not going to be ideal conditions, and I think that favors the short passing game. So, he had a great start to the season. Dawson Knox came back. He leveled out, but he has shown again to be a favorite target for Josh Allen. I think they're going to need to move the sticks in a game where who knows what kind of weather we're getting. We just know it's cold. So I'm going to go a half unit on Dalton Kincaid at plus 350 for an anytime touchdown.
All right, so 2 Bills touchdown scores. Now, on offense, I was trying to find an edge for this game. I just couldn't get there. So instead, I'm going to go with the defenses and the special teams, and I'm going to take both sides. I'm going to take the Bills' defensive special teams, and then I'm also going to take the Steelers' defensive special teams. Steelers is at 10-1. Bills is at 5-1. Now, part of the reason why I want to take this is kind of an indictment on Josh Allen a little bit because a lot of turnovers this year, interceptions and fumbles. So the Bills total as a team had 30 turnovers. Josh Allen was responsible for 21 of them. And the Steelers also top 10 in forced turnovers this year, 27 total. But the Bills also are one of 2 teams, also with the Browns, to be top 5 in both takeaways and giveaways. So there's a lot of volatility with that team. And then, obviously the cold and windy weather. But also, I'm just not really sure how the Steelers are going to score outside of maybe like a Najee Harris, like 1-yard push. Like, I don't see anything from a passing standpoint. So if Mason Rudolph is ever put in a position to throw, it's going to be bad because the Bills have a 3.3 interception rate per drop back. That's actually ranked 5th in the NFL and also the 3rd highest sack rate. So they're going to be able to get pressure. We could see a strip sack on Mason Rudolph or even just a quick pick 6. Also, Nick, you have, I believe, a luck over for this game.
Yep.
I can't think of anything more lucky and just random than a defensive and special teams touchdown. So I'm going to be taking the Steelers defensive special teams touchdown at 10-1 and Bills defensive special teams touchdown at 5-1. I'm going to put a quarter unit on each. Nick, what do you like for this game?
Yeah, well, I'm going to ride with you here, but just on the Steelers side, I love that 10-1. Also, do your due diligence. Make sure you shop around and find 10-1, but also defense and special teams. So
huge point.
Very important point because sometimes it's just defense, sometimes it's defense special teams. So make sure you're doing your diligence there. But 10-1 on the Steelers defense and special teams. I'm gonna ride with Gilles on that one. 5-1 for me is a little too short on the Bills, but look, in a game with probably 15 to 20 mile an hour winds still, gusts even higher as currently forecast for Monday. It's going to be tough, I think, to throw the ball. I do like your look there, B-Matt, of shorter throws, so something like Dalton Kincaid there. But I just don't want to invest in the offenses in this game, in a game where the weather could be absolutely crazy. So I will take defense and special teams, but give me the long shot with the Steelers. I have them projected at plus 620. So
lot
10
of
to 1's a
value.
long way up there. But, I just can't go down to 5 to 1 for a defense special teams touchdown. I think that's a little too short for me. But I do hope you hit it, Gilles.
Well, at the same time, again, I think it was more I just wanted to cover both sides. Sure. I find a lot of the time what ends up happening is I'll take one side because I feel very passionate. I feel like I have the fair odds, and then I just get completely obliterated because the other side scores, and then I just feel sick afterwards. So I just didn't want that to happen. And for only a quarter unit, if I could take away that feeling, I will do that. Yeah. So let's now move on from Steelers-Bills because I can't imagine there'll be a lot of scoring in that game anyway. So anytime touchdowns is just not as fun to talk about. So let's actually move to Eagles-Bucs, where the Eagles now 3-point favorites over the Buccaneers with an over-under of 43. And then, of course, you have the tush-push master himself right at the top. Jalen Hurts at -125, favored to score, followed by Rachaad White, running back with the Bucs, also at -125. And then you have all Mr. Reliable Mike Evans at +120, followed by DeAndre Swift at +137. And now you're seeing Devontae Smith at +187. That's because there's no A.J. Brown in this game, so Devontae will be wide receiver 1 in this game, followed by Dallas Goedert at +210. And then you have the mans in the slots for the Bucs. You have K. Dotton at +300, followed by Chris Godwin. Nick, you haven't gone first yet. What do you like for a touchdown score for this game?
Well, we got Chalky Charlie. I guess I'm
Chalky
dart
Charlie.
throw. I guess I'm dart throw Giffen because none of my picks are shorter than +230
Gambling
today.
Giffen.
We're gonna go Trey Palmer.
I love this bet though.
5 to 1 for an anytime touchdown. So another long shot here. Look, the Eagles defense right now, they're terrible. They're so bad right now.
I want
Struggling.
you to say what's on the rundown. What you said about the Eagles defense.
They suck right now. they're bad. They're giving up points to the Arizona Cardinals, the Giants, you name it. They're giving up points to everybody, even bad offenses. And Trey Palmer, he's going to line up in the slot more than half the time, where he should have Avonte Maddox, who is allowing 2.2 yards per route run, an 84% catch rate allowed. That's abysmal.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
The Eagles
Plus,
are bad.
when he does line up on the outside, Bradbury, Slay, they're not what they used to be. They're getting older. They have not been as effective this year as they were last year. I mean, you remember last year, they were shutting down everything. You could only throw to the slot or the tight end against the Eagles last year. Now you could throw to pretty much anybody. But if you could throw to anybody, why not take a 5 to 1 guy here? So I'm projecting Palmer +440 as fair odds.
And even the Eagles' pass rush has kind of regressed as well. I mean, they had like over 80 sacks last year. Now they're about 45 for the year, regressing, and probably like it's about league average. But then, of course, that secondary is starting to regress as well. And that was really what was able to put them in a position to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. So, yeah, he's going to be on Trey Palmer. And I'm going to take Chris Godwin. I'm going to take Chris Godwin at +300. Now, so Godwin, cover years, like he only has 2 touchdowns this year, so it's not like he has this big track record of getting into the end zone. But for me, I'm more about the matchup and just also the volume and connection that he has with Baker Mayfield, because he's got 16 red zone targets this year. Now, Mike Evans is the deep shot king, but both him and Evans, like Evans has 17, he's got 16, so it's not much of a drop off from that standpoint. But 45 targets as well over the last 5 games. Evans only has 33. But this Eagles defense, you alluded to this, Nick, 29th in DVOA versus the pass this year, 31st in DVOA to the short pass, and they've allowed the most touchdowns to the slot and then the second most touchdowns to wide receivers. So for me, if Baker Mayfield could just stay upright for a little bit, he's going to try to push the ball downfield. And again, with Mike Evans, this isn't me saying don't bet Mike Evans. I just don't love it at +120, right?
Yeah.
Like, and again, if Chalky Charlie wants to take him, I'm not going to knock it at all. But again, I am going to pass on Mike Evans, and I'm going to take Chris Godwin at 3 to 1. You're on Trey Palmer at 5 to 1. Charlie, do you have the best bet, or are you just vibing?
I'm just vibing, baby. I don't know. I don't understand how you guys are setting yourself up to get hurt by Mike Evans. We've done it.
We've done this.
How many times, Beena? How many times?
No, hey, I wasn't going to say it.
It was like in the gambling touchdown manifesto to not bet anybody else but Mike Evans.
Commandment number 1 is don't bet on a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's not Mike Evans at this point.
Yeah, didn't we have this conversation? Didn't you bet on Godwin immediately after you go? I don't know why
I'm a slow learner, man.
Any Buck not named Mike Evans.
Yeah, this is. Listen, I bet the.
Hey, he's a glutton. You know what? A glutton for punishment. That's okay.
A glutton for punishment.
I like it though.
I love the under in this game, by the way. That's why I'm only going with Trey Palmer.
Yeah, I think that if you want to bet this game for a touchdown perspective, I would look toward a long shot, similar to Trey Palmer. I'm just vibing here. I like the under just because we don't know how healthy Baker Mayfield is. Jalen Hurts' finger is messed up.
And he hasn't been throwing.
And people are not, yeah, he's not going to be able to throw the ball deep. So then at that point, it's like, all right, dump offs. But Tampa Bay, they're top 5-10 against the short pass guarding running backs and limiting explosive plays. So I just don't know how either team's really going to move the football here. So I'm going to sit back and avoid this
Here's another
game.
under factor. Referee Carl Cheffers,
Oh,
second
boy.
most
Ref
profitable
stats.
ref to the under.
Refs.
So, just
Bingo
putting
card.
that out there as
Bingo
well.
card, ref name.
We went from chalky Charlie to cautionary Charlie here very quickly. All right, so that's where we're on right now. BMAT, take us home. Who do you like for a touchdown score in Bucs-Eagles?
Look, this one, I guess, is just more about the vibes, too. I don't have some, 2-paragraph answer as to why Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown is the move in this game. I'm just feeling like it's going to happen, And look, A.J. Brown is out. We have potential rain, some potential wet conditions. So A.J. Brown's out. We're going to see, yes, Devontae Smith will be a wide receiver 1, but I don't know how healthy he is. He was in a walking boot a few weeks back. True. So the most familiar target on the team to Jalen Hurts is, by default, Dallas Goedert. And I'm going Dallas Goedert. I got him earlier at I think he's plus 340 when I got him. I think you can get him around plus 250 to 260 now. The A.J. Brown news is what did it. But look, I just think in this game, I just like the fact that he's going to have to throw to a reliable target. Dallas Goedert has shown that he's back from the injury. There's nothing that's keeping him back. And this is going to be a tough game for Philly. I just, for some reason, it's like I had the vision. Dallas Goedert scoring a touchdown. So let's just do a half unit on Dallas Goedert, and we'll move on from there.
I want to see Olamide Zaccheaus get in the end zone. I don't know about you.
That was the other, the Buck killer, right?
Yeah.
And he was, the week before AJ was ruled out, he was around plus 650 to score. Now it's around plus 350 at best.
Yeah,
so.
Now it's not great. But I think he did score last time against Tampa, right? I
he
had him
did,
first
yeah.
touchdown. Yeah, that was wild. Because that was when who was inactive? Was that someone was inactive? I don't know. It's a long time ago when the Eagles were actually good at football. So, yeah, I hope Olamide can actually get in the end zone. But who knows?
We got the Luck Bowl here, by the way. Number 2 and number 3 team in the Luck rankings. Eagles and Buccaneers.
Let's root for some unlucky no scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so if we do get lucky, that means Dallas Goedert would score. That means Trey Palmer would score, or Chris Godwin would score, and he's not banking on luck. He's just banking on vibes. So. And the Touchdown Show is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. It's going to be a great night. So that's all for us. We've got touchdown best bets for each remaining playoff game, and we're going to see you next week for the divisional round. And with the Action Network Power Hour, we'll have shows covering every game, probably on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure to download the Action Network app to get all of our touchdown bets as soon as we bet them. And I want to thank you again for watching the Touchdown Show, presented by Bet365. Bon chance.